Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the Green Wisdom Health Show. I'm Janet Lewis.
And I'm Dr. Lewis.
And I was hoping he was here. We have a very exciting show for you today about getting your energy back by detoxifying. So the name of this show is called Detoxify Your Way to Energy. And we thought that you might be able to use this now since while you're probably eating some better in many ways since our COVID quarantine, there are other things that you might not be eating or drinking that's been so good dealing with stress. So we're going to tell you about a few products that can actually help you detoxify and some of the things you need to know on whether or not you need to detox, which everybody asks us, and usually that's the first thing they think when they want weight loss. It's like, we want to detox. Well, that's not exactly how it works, and we are going to try to educate you a little bit today about some of the things you're doing on a daily basis that may be creating toxins and something you can do on a daily basis to help pull them back off. So, Dr. Lewis, can you enlighten us today with things to detox?
Oh, well, I hope so. Well, that sounds like the beginning of a Willie Nelson song. Some people ask about detox all the time, and I say, well, yeah, you see these infomercials. It says they'll make you have, be young, rich, good-looking, have big breasts within 6 weeks of taking this stuff. I don't think it's that easy. Everybody has, in my opinion, has a need to detox every day, and that means increased nutrients. And I think you can't do that out of your diet. And Janet and I escaped last weekend to Oklahoma, and we stopped back by this place called Girls Gone Wine, and was buying some wine for my daughter, and got to talking about this, health with these young ladies up there. And one girl says, well, I'm just not going to take a multivitamin because I don't feel the difference, and I don't want expensive pee. It's like that. Once upon a time it was said, well, it just gives you expensive urine. That was debunked about 75 years ago. So if you still have that in your mind, flush it down the toilet where it belongs. You need these extra nutrients that you get out of a multivitamin because you can't get it out of your food. That's been proven over and over and over again for many, many decades before I was born. So you cannot get it. Just because your body's functioning doesn't mean it's functioning toward 100%. So, good Lord, throw it in there. So, yeah, you should detox every day, and there's so many different ways to detox. One of the reasons that, for example, glucosamine, MSM, chondroitin sulfate, one of the reasons it works is because that has sulfur molecules in it, and that's just one of 11 different pathways to detox through the liver sulfation. Then you got methylation, glucuronidation, etc. And methylation is just having enough of the B vitamins, and I don't care if you eat organic. You're not getting a lot of the plastics and pesticides in organic, but you're still not necessarily getting the right amount of B vitamins and the minerals. Even though it's organic, it can still be grown on minerally deficient soil. So, yeah, you need to detox every day, and we're going to talk about many different things that you can help do that with.
It's interesting that the average German had 20 toxins over the threshold of detection in their blood 10 years ago, and today the average is over 500.
So Germans are toxic is what she's saying.
But since I'm part German, I thought this was very interesting. But it's an indication suggesting that detox is necessary for everyone. And people go, well, how do you know when you need to detox? Two of the key things for mercury is actually if you're eating seafood or you have dental fillings that are the mercury amalgams, better known as the silver fillings. So if you got those pretty sparkly teeth, that's a pretty good sign that you're probably needing to do a detox. And then some of the symptoms of mercury buildup and toxicity include that you're tired, your joints ache, you have depression, irritability, anxiety, your digestive distress and reduced ability to properly assimilate and utilize fats, impaired blood sugar regulation, which, that's one of the things they're now saying that's why people are getting sick with COVID is because their sugar is higher. So we're trying to take this down in steps for you, so maybe you can start learning how to get your health back and get not having high blood sugar. Female reproductive problems such as menstrual difficulties, infertility, miscarriage, preeclampsia, pregnancy-induced hypertension, and premature birth. Central nervous system damage and kidney damage are all signs of mercury toxicity. So I thought that was very interesting.
But yes, it is. But, you've heard us both caution you before, don't take a list of symptoms and say, oh, my God, I've got it. It must be mercury, because it can be so many other things. One of the things I made a note here, it says too many chemicals in the environment, which is about 5 new ones each day, join the total of 80,000, especially anti-inflammatory drugs and antibiotics, can have negative effects on the health of your intestinal flora. So I met this really, really nice young man when I was rewarding Janet for being such a wonderful wife, and I was buying her some jewelry. And I told her, no, don't compromise. Get the one you want. She did. She said, oh, my God, it's going to cost me a really expensive gun later. I said, nah, it's going to cost you 2 or 3 or 4. Anyway, I met this young man, and he was just hell-bent on thinking he had mercury toxicity. And I said, yes, but what about the other 80,000? Why don't you just not be so specific? Throw things in that can gather more than just mercury. And he was, again, hell-bent on doing it his way, and he never got well. Well, why in the heck did you do the lab work not to follow my instructions? He would have been well by now, or much, much, much further down the road to good health. I'm telling you, internet will lead you down all kinds of stupid dead-end roads. So don't try to fix yourself. I don't try to fix myself. I think I'm pretty smart, but I'm smart enough to know that Janet has a better idea of what's going on in my body than I do. She put me on olive leaf yesterday, and I'm already perked up and feeling fine. So listen to somebody, get an objective opinion, and then, just remember, these xenobiotics or estrogen mimickers, there's 80,000 of them, and that's a major contributor to, that's why your hormones are jacked up and you can't get pregnant, or that's why you have low testosterone. Don't get hung up on one thing, folks.
Well, and that's why many times, our favorite things are something called DIM for hormone, correcting the hormone issues, the DIM 150, because it's cruciferous vegetables in truckload amounts like cauliflower, broccoli, all the ones that are really great for you. Couldn't eat enough of them. But the other part of that is when they're really having a lot of hormonal type things, we put them on something called Vital Detox. Well, the big thing in Vital Detox is something called chlorella.
And it's cracked cell, which is the correct one.
Yes, like 200, there's for 2 capsules, you get 500 milligrams of chlorella. And you're going, well, I don't know anything about chlorella. I don't even really know what it's for. There's evidence that's been found that treats over 40 different health conditions that it can help prevent or ease. And some of the health benefits that it does is repair nerve tissue. It increases your energy levels. It enhances your immune system. Big key word, immune system.
Nerve tissue means you're not going to get so agitated at your spouse.
It normalizes blood sugar.
So does Snickers.
Talked about blood sugar.
Bluebell.
Improves your digestion.
Oh, sorry.
Actually helps normalize your blood pressure.
Oh, God.
Wow, he's going to get a new product.
I got the look on that one.
Uh-huh. It actually promotes healthy pH levels in your gut, which in turn help good bacteria to thrive.
And high blood pressure also can contribute to kidney disease. I've seen that happen many, many times. And, I know when mine's high because when a mosquito bites me, it blows out his rear end. It's so high pressure.
Well, and then it removes potentially toxic metals from your body. And you have to realize that anytime you're trying to remove toxic metals, it's not a marathon race. It's not a sprint. You don't want to start it quickly. This is stuff that takes a lot of time.
It is more like a marathon every day, every day, every day.
I guess so. There's not an end to it. It's not like
right.
You do it for, a lot of people at the first of the year, well, let's do a detox, and then you don't do it again. It's like, it don't really work like that.
Yeah, and people say, well, when can I get off this stuff? And if they hadn't even started yet, I say, you're the kind of person that puts 3 gallons of diesel in your $85,000 truck, pulling your $50,000 horse trailer, and 3 gallons of diesel won't get you to the horse show. And I said, if you're not going to jump in, don't do it. I mean, if you want to get healthy, get healthy. You know, I don't know. I'm being a little bit of a smart aleck today. Which
we like that. That's why we listen to you.
You know, your behavior should be better than Meemaw dressed in her Sunday best on Easter Sunday, okay? Your behavior should be better than that.
What's wrong with Meemaw dressed in her Sunday Easter best?
Your behavior should be better than that. You know, sometimes Janet's more adorable than a newborn baby on a family reunion. So, you know, I'm sorry. My Southern's coming out.
Well, let's also talk about, you know, because, you know, the big thing now is we're going to get vaccinated for things. Well, there are 2 major water-soluble toxins in the vaccine preservative thimerosal, which is mercury and glyphosate, which tend to be sequestered in areas such as kidneys, lungs, and bones. So that's why I'm telling you guys, you need to start detoxing to get some of that out, because glyphosate, Brandy was telling us earlier that she was reading an article of where this doctor talked about how glyphosate and glycine, correct?
Yeah.
Are very closely related, and the body actually will take in glyphosate thinking that it's the glycine that people need, you know, for hair health and all that kind of stuff. And then it doesn't absorb it right, and then your skin starts looking bad, and your hair starts looking bad. So we want to talk about how to detox glyphosate out of the body, because you probably didn't realize that you could.
Well, and you know, it's all over the place. It's not like you're going to avoid it, and that's why I tell people, no, don't eat grain. And, you know, I could have, you know, many podcasts on just that. They spray this stuff with Roundup or glyphosate, and I've said this before on, you know, a couple of podcasts about how it messes up the cell wall. And glycine is a amino acid that is a major detoxification. You have to do a lot of glycine. So glycine is just one of many amino acids, but in our amino complete, and I'm going to get to a question that just by the grace of God, it's amazing how God works. This question came in, and we'd already decided what to talk about. We'll get to that one in a minute, but it's the glycine's very, very present in your RNA and DNA. It improves the glycogen storage, which is the glucose and, you know, for the energy that you need. Glycine is incredibly necessary for central nervous system function and healthy prostate for you women, to keep your man healthy. It's an inhibitory neurotransmitter, which can help prevent all sorts of neurological dysfunctions like seizures. It can help and has been used in the treatment of bipolar depression, hyperactivity. So it's pretty important to displace the glyphosate, and I promise you all have it in there. And so this comes from Cindy down around Fort Polk, Louisiana. Hey, they said they said they're going to open up Casati Pines Golf, and I don't play golf, but does that mean they're going to open up the casino? Because Janet and I are just craving some good Louisiana Cajun food. Mm-hmm. Let me know when you open up Louisiana, because we've been going to Oklahoma instead. All right, Cindy has these questions. Why would somebody get fever blister on lips or inside the mouth after stopping L-lysine? Does this indicate a deeper problem? And so, yeah, lysine is another one of those amino acids that it's been real useful for fighting cold sores and the herpes virus. And when you take the supplemental L-lysine, especially with vitamin C, that's why I like our multi-element buffered C, it helps slow down or stop or prevent the herpes, the replication of the virus. So if you stop that and you start the fever blisters again, you know, maybe we need to take stress off of other parts of your system, and maybe we need to detox, and I think that would be really, really good, because when you get a deficiency in lysine, it usually, well, not usually, sometimes it can contribute to anemia, bloodshot eyes, but more importantly, it messes with enzyme disorders, hair loss, inability to concentrate, or irritability. I'm just waiting to see if I get the look on the irritability. Lack of energy, poor appetite, reproductive disorders, same thing Janet's already talked about. So yeah, it's very, very important. So Cindy, that was an incredible question. I'm going to get to the other one. She said, could Amino Complete have a big impact on mood and energy? Yeah, that is absolutely correct, because in the Amino Complete, the first most abundant amino acid is glycine that we just talked about. It's going to help you detox glyphosate. And some of these amino acids are precursors to making the neurotransmitters, or the so-called happy hormones. So, Cindy, it's like you're kind of in sync with God that you sent this right before we were talking about the very same thing. So thank you for your question.
Well, what I think is very interesting as well, I not only do the Amino Complete, but we have a perfect plant protein that has a lot of glycine in it. Imagine that. It's like every time I think, well, I'm not going to do the perfect plant protein because I'm going to eat in a little while, and so I don't need to do that. I don't feel as good for the day when I don't take that, because it's got prebiotics in it also. But the big thing in it was glycine. And, since we were doing this show today, I didn't even put together that glycine helped. You could actually take enough glycine to get rid of glyphosate.
It's got a lot of lysine in it, too. So
there you got both things. So you don't have to take but one thing if you didn't want to.
But the point about this perfect plant protein, folks, it is organic. It's grown in America, and it's about half the price of this other organic stuff. That's good stuff, but they're ripping you off. I grew up kind of poor, so I want to make sure you get a lot of bang for the buck. I will not compromise in quality of the supplements. Some people try to do halfway supplements. It won't work. That's kind of like going back to your ex because you're thirsty. Well, it's still poison.
That particular plant protein, people think, well, I can't digest that well. I don't pass protein well. That I had a lady that had really bad kidney problems, and she was buying an over-the-counter protein, and she came in and goes, my eyes are so dark underneath, and she goes, I don't understand why. And I said, what are you doing? And she goes, well, I don't know, I'm backed off on all my food. I'm taking this protein in the morning. And I looked at the protein, and I thought, that's what's doing it, because it wasn't in a form that she could digest, because she is a diabetic.
And if it's soy protein, stay the heck away from it.
Yeah. And,
full of glyphosate, the soy is.
And she said, well, I don't, what do you suggest? I said, take a scoop of this and try it. I gave her a few samplings of it. And she come back, she goes, oh, wow. She says, that's making me go to the bathroom better and everything, because of the prebiotics that it's in there also, and the fact that every ingredient in it's organic. So you need to really watch your proteins, what you're having, because everybody will tout something's great, but you really need to read the ingredients on the back of it and see if they're really organic. And then, like we said, that one's full of glycine. I thought an interesting thing was aluminum. Back in the day, our grandparents always cooked out of aluminum. That was... You had more aluminum and then they put aluminum foil in there too on top of everything else. But aluminum, they have actually found it creates an underactive thyroid. So many people that come in here with thyroid problems, you might want to see if you're doing something that includes aluminums.
Well, but it's in everything also. I mean, it's in your vaccinations, and I'm not for or against. You need to make your own choice about that.
It's in antacids.
Yeah. And then you lower your stomach acid because you think you have too much. It's usually too little. And then you really don't digest your protein, so you don't get your lysine or glycine. You don't break it down anyway. And that's why I tell people, well, your protein's, this on lab, and it needs to be higher. So digestive enzymes.
And citric acid has been shown to mobilize aluminum. And an easy and inexpensive strategy is to squeeze some lemon in a bottle of water and drink it throughout the day. And, Dr. Lewis and I always use lime. We love lime.
Yeah, first it was in beer, but I gave up beer because of the gluten. And it's like we still do the lime and the lemon really, really often. That's probably one of the most perfect fruits you can have is that. But, you're right, and that's why I take the multi-element buffered C, because it does have that. And, C is not very popular because it got all the glory 40 years ago or so. You still need it. It's still pretty
so you can
awesome.
You can take it in a capsule form like that with a multi-element buffered C, or you can, if you don't mind drinking stuff and squeezing stuff.
Squeeze lime in your beer.
And you can also, the malic acid, which is apple cider vinegar, is another way that actually helps pull out aluminum.
And helps soften the gallstones to where you're...
Yes.
Yeah, okay, that's a whole different story.
Yes.
You can get into there if you want to.
Well, I was going to address parasites, which happens to be one of my favorite topics because, I am the queen of bowel movements. So, because I thought...
Talking about them, not necessarily having them.
Right. That's what I'm talking about. Trains not coming through tunnels like they're supposed to, which lead to parasites having a place to stay. And I just thought it was a very interesting fact that, because you're talking about getting rid of things like this. Well, parasites are another one. And they're especially, they're candida and fungi. And I'm thinking this because everybody's been eating probably more sugar and things or drinking really bad things. And it's causing these candida to come alive.
Including in me. It's been flared up. That's what Janet's talking about.
No, not exactly.
Yeast is a fungus if it's a bad yeast.
I just thought that it was interesting to know that every chronic Lyme patient is also full of parasites, this one doctor said.
No, there's so many doctors that say parasites don't exist in America, and I had one doctor say that, and it's like, well, that's crap because you had got your medical degree in the Caribbean. He's really good MD. I love him, but... there's parasites are becoming I made this note, becoming a problem in the United States that comes from American Journal of Tropical Diseases, but that's 1994, and they say it's becoming a problem in America, and it's like, well, geez, it's been a problem. We got worms and all sorts of different types of parasites here. There are doctors that specialize in that. It's really a smart thing to do. I've had my eosinophils up to 26 with a huge bellyache, and I took this candida support, and I saw stuff come out you don't want to hear about, but it has the calcium undecellonate, it has the podiarco, it has the enzyme blend to eat them up, and it has the berberine and sorbic acid, Anyway, it worked, but yes, even in the medical research, it talks about parasites, and Janet's right. Lyme's disease is a scary, scary thing to have. We can get good results, but it's slow.
Well, this Dr. Klinghardt is a very renowned physician. He's well known for his successful treatment of neurological illness and Lyme's disease with integrative medicine. He's originally from Berlin, Germany, so that may be why you've not heard of him, but he practices, and he talks about how the Lyme spirochete simply retreats into the worms, waits until you're done with antibiotics for Lyme disease, and then hatch back out.
And that's why we'll put you on lauricidin for a while, and we'll put you on candida support for a while. We'll put you on olive leaf. But, candida, as I said, was a normal organism in our guts, but it's the overgrowth from the excessive sugar or the simple carbohydrates. Alcohol messes with it. Antibiotics, chlorinated water leads to intestinal inflammation. That's from Journal of Infection and Immunology. One thing, I don't know where I pulled this out of, but I had this thing, and it was about H. pylori, and I said, well, mastic gum does that. And Janet finally found a pretty small study and says, well, how did you know? H. pylori has also been associated with wheat intolerance, which can lead to celiac disease and gut leakiness. American Journal of Gastroenterology. If you want a good diagnosis, go to a GI doctor. But we can throw the things in that help your body heal, to get out the parasites, to repair, replace the enzymes, replace the probiotics, and re-inoculate. And there's just so much that can be done. And once you fix your intestines, detox, your body can get better and better and better and better. We've seen so many miracles, but it's the people that jumped on the train and stayed with it. And that's why all of a sudden we become allergic to certain foods because of that leakiness, and then that leads to more food allergies, and it creates a vicious cycle. So when Janet's talking about getting rid of parasites, I'm not talking about your teenagers, folks. I'm talking about the stuff in your GI tract.
Well, I know. And so that's why I'm saying the Candida stuff, if you would start doing the Candida support, when you feel like you're starting to crave sweets or sugars and you're drinking a little more sodas than what you're normally drinking, I'm not pointing any fingers at anyone anywhere near me.
I'm feeling the stab in my back and in my heart.
I am just saying that it may be time to start cleaning up Candida. And
I think I may be offended.
And also... and probiotics, because that's the other part of it. When you're putting the probiotics in, then you start chasing those little fellas out, and then they're not prone to wanting to harbor in your gut like they were, because unfortunately you think they're just in your gut. They do work their way out of there and go to other organs of the body, and one of them's your brain. So you need to make sure that they're not taking up space there where you could use room for something else.
Well, we're under a lot of stress, and you know, one of the things is there's this haircut lady in Dallas that's challenging the stay-at-home order, and, you know, she put something much more eloquently than I'm going to, but, you know, you can get a lap dance at a strip club, but you can't get your hair done. You can get your dog groomed, which Sadie looks better, but you can't get your hair done. Your state might be run by idiots, if that's true. And, you know, the problem is, you know, if you're letting your meemaw cut your hair with dull, rusty, tetanus-covered scissors, and then you end up looking like Uncle Festus, folks, open up the state. Let's get our hair cut. I'm getting really shaggy here.
But I'm going to make a video of him later so y'all can see. He's got beautiful hair, thanks to his mama. I don't know how men are able to just keep going and they look the same, and women are like, oh, Lord, please give me a hat, because this is not getting any better anytime soon. But your body can. That's the whole purpose of this. Is like, we're all getting back out now. We're you know, it's time to get well. It's time to get healthy. If you've not done your lab work, you need to consider doing your lab work now, or redoing your lab work. And if you're saying, well, why? What's that got to do with it? We can see many of these things we're talking about in your lab.
How stress has affected you.
We can tell if that gut needs some help, and if you may be harboring some undesirables there and things to do to get rid of them. So, you know, what's the difference in our lab? We do 12 different panels of lab. We don't run the typical 1 to 3 you get at your doctor's office, because our hands are not tied by insurance companies. We can run them across the United States, and we use reputable companies to have them drawn at. So, that includes a functional medicine report. When we give it to you, it's not just us saying, hey, this is what's going on. We actually can show you it is. We're looking for optimal levels. We're not looking for, you know, hey, best of luck to you. You're in the range. We're looking for patterns in it. We look at it completely different than what you're used to. So if you've not experienced that, you might want to consider going to greenwisdomhealth.com, filling out a health survey, and getting started there, because that's the first place to start. And that way you are not guessing at what's going on, because, you know, we tell you this stuff every week, and we give you a list of symptoms of things you could have, and you could have a whole pot full of stuff you're taking, and it may not even be right, because you don't really know what's going on in your lab. Like the young man that Dr. Lewis talked about with the mercury, he was just sure he was eating up with mercury. And when we got his lab back, he had so many other things on there that if he would have addressed those, he would have instantly felt better. But he could not get out of his head that it was one thing.
Wonderful young man, but sometimes you have to follow instructions of other people.
Right. So, you know, don't guess. Look at it on paper, black and white, and it will make sense to you when he's done. And you can decide then what you want to do, but we can tell you the supplements that we recommend to help shore that up, because everybody's different. Because if it was all the same thing for everyone, we wouldn't have 400 products in this store. So, Dr. Lewis, we're almost at the end of our show again.
Oh, I thought you were going to say at the end of the rope.
Well, and we appreciate the questions coming in. And
yeah, thanks, Cindy.
Yeah, please keep leaving those. You can do that on our greenwisdomhealth.com site. You can also go to Shooting Straight with Dr. Lewis on Facebook and leave questions there. If you want to hear a topic of a show, please do that as well. And Dr. Lewis, you have so many closing thoughts over there. Please share with us one of your closing thoughts.
Well, because of the stress, that we've been under, the quarantine, all that, sometimes you have to remember that instead of Jack in the Box, but you want a Jack in the Bottle, you might need another approach there. You have to stay away from negative people because they always have a problem for every solution. And if you're thinking, folks, that the most essential oil, the best essential oil is chloroform, don't use it on your kids or your spouse. That's not an appropriate response. If you're that stressed, call us. We can throw things in with an educated guess, judiciously, and supported by research to help your body become more of what God intended.
That's good. You guys have a blessed week, and we'll be here next time on the Green Wisdom Health Show.
Once again, our show has come to an end, but your hope in your health is only beginning. If you or a loved one are in need of a different outcome and are waiting for a brighter future, take the first step and go to our website and fill out the health survey. Please don't keep us a secret. If you know someone that could benefit from this podcast, please share this show with your friends and family. You are only one step away from a life worth living.